Hey everyone, my name is Nora Haynes. I'm the lead designer of Perfect Draw. Today we're going to be going over some of the card designs that people have made in Perfect Draw through the playtest and through the demo kit. This, above me, is Iris. She's the main reason, as I said before, that the game is readable at all. Hi Iris.
I hit perfect draws with hammer until it read good.
Ideally. You just finished up the looking through the physical copy of the book yesterday, right?
I've been hard at work for the last several days and nights, and I've just finished editing everything in the physical copy of the book, so now
it's all my job.
Providing Nora approves the edits and I approve the edits to my edits, we should be all good. And tonight I'm going to finish up my prep for Dimension Chasers tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
Dimension Chasers,
Dimension Chasers tomorrow, which is exciting.
I believe it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow for us.
Nella's currently suffering with T30, so we'll see.
No. We'll see then. But our original plan for this stream was going to be that we were just going to go through a bunch of these cards. We weren't going to collect names. However, I will say a bunch of people gave their names anyway when they produced the images for the stream, and they had really good art and stuff that I was not expecting at all. So for all of those ones where we have the names, my plan is going to be that we're just going to go at the end and do like a little credits sequence of here's everyone that gave their name for these cards, and we'll just do that all at the end so that we're not biased by who those are, considering there are some people on the Discord who naturally submitted cards. Also, at the end, we're going to be doing, there's no real prizes for this. This is more so to be fun, to show off some of the cool things the system can do. But at the end, we are going to give little awards for the, what were the little awards we have here? The most interesting design, the cleanest design, and the most evocative theme. So that's going to be rather fun to, talk through some of that. But then, Iris, if you're ready, we can push over to the first set of cards.
Yep, sorry, I was just posting the link to the stream in, various different places.
All good. Okay, I'll start by reading this out then, if that's all good with you. This is the Mausoleum series, as far as I can call it. But it focuses around these concepts of manifesting and harvesting these soul tokens, which they explained a bit more in the notes, and I'll go over in a sec. First, we have Mausoleum of the General. This is their ace. It is a strong item. When this card is played, and each time a warrior dies, manifest one on Mausoleum of the General. We have Revenant Hoplite, Teamwork. Once during your turn, harvest 2.
Are you going to explain what Manifest does? Because I feel like explaining what Manifest does here is pretty relevant.
I was going to do it at the end, because that's the experience I had while actually putting these all in. Manifesting basically adds a counter to the cards, and then harvesting uses those resources they added to the cards. Assumably, theoretically, thematically, these are souls that are being harvested as far as I can tell.
I'm going to grab Nora and force her to add give balancing rules for resource systems in the book.
We did!
Because, we don't have...
I did it!
No, you say, you should just use Activate and make it cost your staple
No,
instead.
dear. No, I did. I added that last week.
Oh, okay. So it's not in the physical book. Okay.
Yes. We went over this. But, Revenant Hoplite, Teamwork. Once during your turn, harvest 2, create a normal warrior token with Teamwork. Yielding Wraith, normal warrior. When this warrior is played from your hand, manifest 2. While this card is in your graveyard, you may harvest 2 to play this warrior from your graveyard. And finally, Rally the Dead. Manifest 3. If Mausoleum of the General is on your side of the field, manifest 3 again. Which is pretty substantial.
That's pretty swag because, it doesn't do anything by itself, but it does stuff for the gimmick of the deck, which I kind of like.
Personally, I deeply love Unyielding Wraith for this.
Yeah, Unyielding Wraith is kind of swag because it just keeps coming back and coming back and coming back.
It doesn't. Fun. Yeah, having to having an effect from the graveyard that refers to your harvest feels really, really cool. And then once returned to your turn,
combine that with Revenant Hoplite, which lets you actually push through as a...
What this really, I can imagine coming out soon is, if you have a sack outlet in this deck, that's your 5th card you make, is a sack outlet. suddenly you have a combo where you're like, okay, sack this, deal a life to the opponent, it's my unyielding wraith. I get
Yay,
a
I love
harvest from
Rakdos.
that. Yes, you get a harvest from that, and then you keep doing this over and over again, and that's how you kill them out. I think that'd be really fun. The Deathly theme here is also really, really good. I think the surprising thing I did find is that maybe half of the themes here were like very black mana themed, which was very interesting.
We are all enjoy the evil card.
I do remember there was one time a saying that I heard from someone when I was getting into Magic, actually, where what they said was, black is the theme that you get very, very into when you start recognizing how games are played and you start to realize, like, how cool it is that you can play with those resources. You know, white feels good when you're still doing, like, life is great, and then black feels really good when you realize that life is a resource.
To be fair, this isn't playing with life as a resource, and black just thinks more than that. But...
yeah, that's what I mean, but that's the thing where but black does all stuff like that, you know. Sacrificing a creature is a resource, and cool, and sick. But
we've tricked ourselves into the MTG derail. I'm so sorry.
Do you want to read out these next set, dear?
Okay, yeah, different framing, but this is the Heavenscent archetype, and I'm excited to read through them. Disclaimer again, Nora has seen all of these in advance. I have not. I'm going in completely blind. So
I'll also
note
from Mystic Sailboats, not everyone added images. We've just included what people have given. We are not going to bias that in any like guesses, because I don't think you need to use images to play this game.
100% not. Okay, so we've got Morningstar the Last Light as their ace. It's a normal warrior with blocker and overwhelm, and when it enters the field, create a normal Heavenly Treasure item token. I'm already like, this is interesting as a start, because it's like, it's kind of doing everything a little bit, but like but like in a way that kind of gives me like hope for the rest of the archetype.
And for your ace too, like, that's really neat.
Yeah. Your ace having blocker is like, ooh, that's interesting. And it just making a normal token is like, ooh, it's going to care about these items. And that brings us up to Heavenly Treasure Terminus, which is a strong warrior with Overwhelming and Sniper 1, which immediately, oh shit, that's really good. But this card can't attack or block unless you are Ascended. You're Ascended as long as you control 3 or more Heavenly Treasures. I love this. I love this already. Because that is such a fun kind of thing.
I don't want to comment until the end, but, you know, we did a thing very similar to this when we were doing a previous design for the Spirits deck. We changed what the Spirit does now. But originally, the Spirit was like a combo-based thing. And this is such a clean, nice way of doing that. Yeah. And this was like a clean, nicer, more open-ended way to do your Urzatron-style combo deck.
Mm-hmm. So now we go over to Heavenly Treasure Halberd. Oh, all of these count as Heavenly Treasures. Okay.
Yes.
I see. And Morningstar just gives you like a generic wild card for it. Heavenly Treasure Halberd. Halberd enters the field, strengthen a weak or normal monster. And once per turn, if you're Ascended, destroy all warriors and items your opponent controls. Oh, geez. Ascended is looking really, really strong here.
It makes sense, given to do that, you have to have 3 cards on the field, and that's very hard to do in this game.
Yeah, this is 100% hard to do, especially with with opponents having response moves, and like, we balance the game as if assuming that the players are typically going to have like 2 or 3 cards on field. So, Heavenly Treasure Libram is an item with normal. At the beginning of your turn, draw an extra card. If you're Ascended, instead search your deck for a card and add it to your hand. Fun.
Yeah.
I like these. I like these. I like what they're doing. I like what it says about the person who would be playing them.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that is notable is I did just actually realize this. I think this had to have been made by a playtester. Because these last 3 are almost exactly fixed versions of what we did with the Spirit. But with the Ascended mechanic, because this is the mechanic of the last 2, what were they, angelic creations we had?
Yeah, angelic creations.
And these are such a good and smart fix. I really like what these do.
You fixed the deck. Thank you very much.
They say here in the notes that they had that this is called the Heavenscent archetype, which...
Yeah, I saw that part. I mentioned that at the start of it.
Yeah, because you can see my notes as well, I just realized. It's really cool, and I do think I'm gonna point out again, the thing that you pointed out that this feels like a Tron-style combo deck is really smart. And all it needs, frankly, now is just, like... It sort of has that already in Terminus, but could you imagine something that's, like, just play a big fucking thing if you've got all three, win the game instantly?
All of these basically say that.
You're right,
gets
okay.
you Terminus. Terminus wins.
If you've got
Albert
three,
is a
you're
board
going
line.
to... Because those three, unless you have other things that make tokens, you're right. Halberd, along with either Libram or Terminus, wins the game.
Yes. Correct.
Fair point. I'm gonna cut over to this one. I'll read these ones out. I really like the stupid names on these. First, we have
these frames. I love these frames.
Yeah, I believe they're custom made. I wasn't able to find any of them elsewhere.
Oh my god, are they?
Yes,
They're so cute.
They are. We have Terra Cutter, which I think is a fantastic little pun. It's a warrior ace. I actually can't see its strength, but I'm going to assume it's normal. When Terra Cutter is summoned to your you may re-equip all items to any monster of your choice. Terra Cutter gains 1 strengthen for each equip attached to it. Terra Cutter gains teamwork if any equip card is attached to an ally, and Terra Cutter gains pierce if...
I think it's weak actually because it's got a little W next to its little sword symbol.
That makes sense. And then Terra Cutter gains pierce for 1 of each item equipped to its target.
Yeah, sure.
Which, okay, I'm just gonna say, I love the ally effect. I think that is such a cool way to, like... I can only imagine how cool this is gonna play in team battles. Oh, yes, and Brilliant Loser here clarified, W means weak. I really love the implication of what that is with team battles, or how this allows for expansion in the deck. Imagine, like, the player who's got this, along with their teammate, and then they equip all their things to that, and then get to add Terra Cutter to that attack. Really sick. Stone Sword,
And
as well, along with...
I assume the third effect of each item equipped to its target is to reward putting equips onto the opponent, which I think is a very fun like, a thing of, like, oh, maybe you have some equips that are, like, both an upside and downside. I don't know, that's fun.
Yeah. Stone Sword, all of these have mostly the same text, which is follow-up. When this card is played, you may equip it to a monster. If you do, you may draw 1 card, and the equipped monster gains Overpower, or gains Blocker, or gains Piercer 1.
They all have follow-up and draw 1 card!
Yeah!
you can just play every single fucking one of these in 1 turn. This seems...
really strong, but also really fallible. Because, obviously, if you destroy these... But you have that classic problem that every equipped deck has in these card games, which is really neat, which is, if you destroy the thing, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, like, in this game, you can choose to just target these guys. Like, the way you solve that is, if you give Terra Cutter anything that gives them blocker, this deck immediately becomes absolutely broken.
I mean, it's got Stone Shield right here. But, even then, you destroy Terra Cutter, and then they're fucked. Like, these cards only have when they're played do they get equipped here. So you need to have something like Terra Cutter to re-equip them this way.
Ah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. I do like that about it. And also, I'm going to say that I adore the pun of Terra Cutter. It's really interesting as a versatile card, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the art here is adorable. It sort of looks like a Ditto, but with, like, it's made of stone, and it's got, like, little weapons in it. It's so cute.
Yeah, I would love to see how this plays.
Yeah.
And by overpower, I assume is meant to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I assume monster means warrior, but we can, you know... The point of this game is always, if everyone makes it make sense, if everything makes sense to everyone at the table, it's fine. Use whatever words you like.
Brilliant says, Terra Cutter is the mascot from my upcoming card game. I'd love to see that card game sometime. I'm hyped.
I believe they already promised to post in the Discord when that comes through. But this set, do you want to read it through?
Read the cards, or...
Yes.
All of them have weak power, follow-up, and are items that draw you a card when you equip it.
the next set.
Oh, the next set. Okay, sorry, I was still looking at Terracotta. Okay, this is... Ooh! We've got hands-on art here. I love that already.
It's really neat.
It is really charming to see how everyone's done these, like, a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So, we've got, like, an Avenging theme here, seemingly.
Yep.
So we're gonna start with, we'll start with the ace, actually, which is the one on the far right. Arch Nemesis. Ace, normal warrior. Tier 1. Add Overwhelm if 2 or more monsters are in the graveyard. Add Underwhelm when the graveyard is empty.
I really like this effect.
Yeah, that's a really cool effect, honestly.
The important thing is, because the way that it works in Perfect Draw is, if you want to draw from an empty deck, you have to shuffle your graveyard back into your deck. So this will keep switching between. Like, it creates such a tempo, like, a tempo time. If I need to take advantage of this before I run out of cards. And I really, really like that.
Yeah. So we've also got Avenging Friendly Foe, Warrior Weak. Automatically joins the field after an enemy destroys a monster or does direct damage. I like this. We actually have a keyword in the full book that hasn't been released yet that's called Respond, that is basically
They have something very similar to that they made themselves in an invocation a bit later you're about to read.
Ooh, exciting. Well, we'll get to that in a bit. What about after an end? I like this. It's just like a little blocker guy that you can probably find interesting uses for. It fills up your graveyard faster for Arch Nemesis.
Being a creature definitely matters for this deck.
Yeah, but also, obviously, it's a weak warrior, so it's not doing a ton. We've got Avenging Griffin, which is a normal warrior with blocker. That's clean. That's just, he's a guy. And I like the art for him, honestly. And we've got Eye for an Eye. My name's Iris, and I like eyes, so obviously I'm biased towards this, but it's an invocation with Overwork. Overwork's really fun here, actually, because, like, it gives you more incentive to just leave the graveyard loaded and just don't draw anything.
Oh, but dear, read its text.
Reaction. They take damage equal to the damage they do to me this turn. Remove from play afterwards. Oof.
So, this is the important thing. One thing I really like. The synergy of reaction and overwork for how to have that respond style effect is really innovative, I think. Like,
yeah, I like it.
You use it as the overwork on the opponent's turn, but it gets overwork, which means you don't get to play an extra card on your next turn. That's really self-explanatory, really neat design. I really like that. Yeah. The book version has, like, a complicated thing about you, like, talking about balancing based on triggers. But this just it is really, really neat. Arch Nemesis, I mentioned why I think that's interesting. And I just really like the art here. I think Eye for the Eye is actually a really evocative image. I like what they've done here.
Yeah, extremely agreed. I'm not going to say it gives me Inscription vibes, but...
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, they did put eyes in that game onto things, but I like what this says about the saying Eye for the Eye and putting it in a comparison here.
Yeah, it's really charming.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one in mind. I really like it. I think mechanically it's got some interesting stuff.
Okie dokie. We go into the next slide?
Yep. I'll read this one out. We have Mew, Amateur Gambler. When hitting a payout on a card, create that many weak warriors. When hitting a bust on a card, both players roll a dice. The player with the lowest number loses X life, X warriors, and discards X cards, where X is the difference in the two rolled numbers, and it's a weak warrior. We have...
wait, give me a second. I'm still taking that in.
So, it's going to be a little bit easier to explain if I read one more of these cards. Like, let's just read Where Even, which is an invocation. Yeah. It is roll a 6-sided die, payout on even, you gain 1 life and draw a card, and bust on odd. Your opponent gains 1 life and draw 1 card. So basically, every other one of these cards, aside from Mew, is an invocation that makes you roll dice, and some of them are payouts, and some of them are busts. Busts... Basically, what Mew does here is it turns your payouts, which usually are good effects, and makes busts also a good effect or a potentially good effect, depending on how things go. It adds more gambling to your gambling, basically.
I like this, but also View seems incredibly swingy.
Yes,
Because,
absolutely.
like,
That said, I think on the right character, perfect.
oh, 100%. You can definitely, like, mitigate this with, like, staples and shit, and it's very cool. But, like, also potentially losing like 5 life in, like, one roll when, or like 4 at max, maybe, when you are, when this is a game where you start with 3 life is horrifying. Uh, Making your opponent discard or draw is interesting because obviously Perfect Draw has weird ways of interacting with that. I
Yeah.
definitely flavor it as discard does a fumble and draw gives them like maybe an extra simple card move.
Yeah. And then they have the opposite version as well, of we're even, of that's odd, and I like that little pun. For roll 6-sided die, payout is on odd. Your opponent sends 1 warrior and the top card of their deck to the graveyard. Reshuffle it if there is no deck. And then bust on even. You send 1 warrior and the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Reshuffle if there is no deck. Which, you know, I like these similar, like, mutually different effects here. All or Nothing is a wild card, in that it does 6 different things depending on what you roll.
Horrifying.
On 1, you bust, nothing happens. On 2, you pay out. All your warriors gain teamwork this turn. On 3, pay out. Gain 1 life per warrior you control. On 4, pay out. All of your warriors gain overwhelmed this turn. On 5, pay out. Destroy all normal and strong warriors. And on 6, bust. Lose 0 life. Mark to the side how many times you triggered this effect. Increase the loss by the amount of times it's been triggered. That one's wild. Because I'm not sure how often that's going to happen when it's 1 in 6 times you play this card. But can you imagine how insulting it would be?
Here's the thing. It says mark to the side. I think this is meant to persist between card battles.
Wait, what? Oh, I'm going to assume not, because I think there are technically balancing quandaries with that. We're not dealing...
100%. But also... that like it says mark to the side, and I don't think you're realistically triggering this more than once in any game. So I'm kind of assuming that's it, but like,
God, that's both sick and also very, very scary and worrying.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's notable that what it does is it says in the early game you take no life, and then eventually it just always kills you if you roll a 6.
You just remove it from your deck at that point is the problem.
That's true. I mean, that's why we advise against it, but I still think it's cool. You know,
Yeah, like,
feel free. You can house rule however you want to do things we don't advise. That we don't advise for different one way or another.
like legally, we don't advise this if that is how it works. Like, if your table thinks it's cool and it's appropriate,
we can't stop you. We're not cops.
Feel free to push the bands a little bit. Just be careful.
I mean, we even say in the section where we unadvise against this stuff that if your judge, you know, talk with your judge before you do this, obviously, and if there is, like, a good reason and they think it's fun, absolutely go for it. But, you know, don't do it without care.
Yeah.
Do you want to read this next one?
I like this. This next one is... yeah, sure. Okay, this seems like a festive kind of thing. We're gonna start with Festival Fireworks, which is their ace, and it's a strong item. Countdown 7 goes down by 1 at the end of each of your turns. If this card is destroyed, the countdown does not reset. Very nice. And when the countdown reaches 0, your opponent loses. I like this immediately because I feel like instant win decks are obviously very fun. You can imagine interesting ways of interacting with it by like lowering your own countdown or your opponent like using cards to increase your countdown. It implies interesting things about decks within the fiction, IMR. Which is fun. I also like the theming of it's a firework festival. You can imagine like a New Year's Day kind of thing.
Read through the rest of the cards. It's got so much good theme to it, I think.
Okay. Let's all do our part. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah!
Reduce countdown by the number of units you have. I assume this means both warriors and items. Then summon 1 normal warrior. Yeah, sure. This seems potentially really, really strong with
lower counts, but I think they've balanced it well here.
Yeah, and also the staple that gives you 2 weak warriors.
Still, I think that's fair.
Yeah. We've got Festival Chairman, which is a normal warrior. When summoned, summon 1 weak warrior. Yeah. When this warrior attacks, reduce your countdowns by 1. I like this. I like normal warriors that don't push battle but reward you for attacking, because like then you're more often relying on flashing, which is fun and exciting IMO. And then we have Restock Supplies, which is a normal item with countdown 3. When used and when countdown reaches 0, you can return a card from your graveyard to your hand. That's fun.
I
I don't know what
really,
happens
really
when
like
the
this
countdown runs
deck.
out on this one. Does it just stay at 0? But I do like what it does of like,
I assume
oh, this
you'd probably just destroy it at that point, right?
maybe.
Yeah, it's one of those
know.
things that wouldn't change the balancing at all, so you'd probably just realize that and then do it when you're playing.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm now imagining a nightmarish combination of this deck and the previous one, where you have a card that reduces countdown based on a die roll.
No, that sounds kind of fun.
So now that's all. That's in your head now.
Yeah, that sounds great. But I adore the theme here, mainly because
Yeah,
I read this and I can absolutely picture perfectly in my head the character that uses this deck.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a lot of reds and golds and oranges and kind of like a very happy-go-lucky kind of person,
Yeah,
or like maybe a craftsman.
They're definitely a glowing in my head. And it's like school festival style shit, you know?
I was thinking more either New Year's or Bond Festival, but fair.
Both of those definitely work.
I like this. I like this a lot. This is
Yeah.
one of my favorites so far, I think. All right. Would you like to read the next deck?
Yep. Sorry. First we have Corpse King, Tyrant No More. They're a strong item with Ace. I like that they're an item and also a king. Because they're a
that's
corpse.
pretty cool.
When this is destroyed, lose 1 life. Once per turn, when this card is in your graveyard, discard a card to summon 1 weak warrior.
That's
really fascinating. Especially because you shuffle in your graveyard in perfect draw.
Yeah. Something that activates from grave is really immediately interesting. The fact that it lets you kind of bypass the action economy, but only in ways that create weak warriors and burn off your hand, when hand resource is very much a thing in this game, is immediately like, oh.
Oh, also, we have confirmation from the person who playtested with the person who made the Firework Festival deck. They were glowing.
Okay. I also like that this has flavor text.
Yeah.
I add flavor text to almost all of the cards that I make, so anyone that does that as well is instantly a person after my own heart.
Then we have Palbearer Jesters, the king's most trusted. They are a weak warrior. When Palbearer's Jesters are destroyed, summon the Corpse King from the graveyard. It can attack and has Overwhelm and Piercer 1. So it turns the item into an actual, not into a warrior, weirdly, technically, but it can attack. It has Overwhelm and Piercer 1, which is really neat. I like that
really
it immediately pulls up the image of Warhammer 40k, where there was the, in the role-playing game for that, you could play a class that was literally turned to gold, like a spellcasting class, literally turned to gold, and had to have guys carry them around.
Yeah, the thing that I'm imagining here is like the Corpse King is like a skeleton guy that's sitting on a throne and is technically dead. And then the Pallbearer Jesters are like carrying around a big old like a coffin palanquin with the Corpse King on top of it.
But obviously, actually bringing back the Corpse King is a real risk, because you do that, you no longer get the effect, and if it gets destroyed, you lose a life.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I said I like this.
Yes.
You can...
While the Corpse King is not in the graveyard, you can discard 1 card to strengthen this card until the end of turn, which is your way you dump the Corpse King, clearly.
Yeah, that's how you dump them.
Mourning, cheering counselors, masked serpents, warrior weak. While the Corpse King is in the graveyard, strengthen this card. It also gains this effect: target opponent fumbles. And Corpse Prince, heir to none, invocation. Activate only if the Corpse King is in the graveyard. Create 1 strong warrior.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I really like how these play. I do think Corpse Prince can definitely be buffed, because you can just make a card that's a strong warrior. It could definitely get something alongside this.
Yeah, I think you could push it a little bit more.
But I really like these themes of, okay, I see these cards, and I want to see what the next cards they make are, because there's clearly lore and really keen theme here, and a lot of interesting play. So, let's take a look at the next one. I really am excited to look at these. The Polterghost series.
Oh.
I fucking adore the art here, and I'm gonna just read out the effects as well.
I do like the art here.
Polterghost Lamp, Blocker, and then all of them have this text except for the final one. While it's not your turn, this card is instead a strong item with no abilities except for Blocker, and it's a weak warrior otherwise.
Interesting.
Poltergeist Painting has the additional text that is Sniper 1, and if you control a Polterghost haunted house, this is Sniper 2. Polterghost Coffin has, while this is not your turn, it has the Polterghost effect, and it has, before this card makes an attack, choose one of your opponent's warriors. It becomes a strong item with no abilities until this card leaves the field.
Okay,
Iris,
so this is Polterghost.
yes, Iris, also, have you turned on your sound blocking things? It seems we're getting some echoes in.
Oh, let me check.
But I'll just keep going in the meantime. Sorry about any echoing. Polterghost Haunted House has the effect of your weak warriors can attack directly, which is very, very good here, obviously. And if you don't have Sniper, they have Sniper 1. If you have a chicken monster in this, would it be Poultrygeist?
That's
Beautiful.
terrible.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nell.
I can't believe you'd say that.
But these are incredible. I adore these, legitimately. Like, yes, they're definitely doing the ghost trick thing. But I think literally moving between items into warriors for possessed objects specifically.
Yeah, give like such a good theme and feeling of it. I love that.
Like,
this is cool.
Like, haunted objects here plays so well, and I'm gonna have to be so careful not to be biased because I think the art is legitimately incredible. Like, and Coffin is so cool as well. Like, as an effect, like, forcing, like, someone else's warrior into being, like, this effect. Mwah.
You are going in the coffin.
But only before it makes the attack. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could absolutely see Konami making a similar deck to this, where it just, warrior, your cards go into your spell slot temporarily, in a way that isn't like Crystal Beasts, I guess.
The problem is we have Snake Eye and Centurion right now who are basically doing that. The problem is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is way too fast these days. You can't actually have the time to do, like,
a turn-by-turn effect, yeah.
Like, which is sad.
The next set, do you want to read these ones out?
Absolutely. Let's see what we're working with. Again, I'm going in completely blind.
And admittedly, it's a good amount of text.
This is the Ensemble theme. Immediately biased like that because I had a deck in one of the earliest plays that I did that theme. This seems to be more stage play themed, whereas mine was choir. So we've got the Ace Ensemble under, which is normal warrior. Ace, which I'm going in blind, she says, taking off her glasses. So true. While this card is equipped with a roll against pressure on, when this card is deployed with your hand. Oh god, I'm putting my glasses back on.
On and off and on and off and on and off.
I'm curious as to whether this is pressure on for every roll or just like roll.
Okay,
I
so
guess.
this gets answered because rolls can only have one roll equipped to a single guy.
Okay, so let's take a look at these with Ensemble Performance Brave Gown. It is a weak item roll. It has conspicuous. So does the next Ensemble Performance. So they are both. I'll cover both of them at the time. Actually, they're both weak item rolls with ink that may equip to a warrior roll. The next one is the Master Sorcerer Robed. When a warrior this item equipped to would be destroyed, you may destroy this item instead. A warrior may be equipped with one roll item at a time, and that item is just. So those that.
Dear, I'm also just gonna say you're cutting out a good bit. Did you turn up your noise canceling too hard?
I may have. I apologize. Let me turn it down. Uh, okay. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
You seem to be going
Testing,
well
testing.
now.
Nora, could you say something?
Hi, hi.
Okay. This seems like around the perfect balance. So, uh, both of them have the same first text, which I'm just going to refer to as role text. And role text also gives a warrior unique effects. For the Brave Princess's Gown, it gives once per turn when an opponent declares an attack, you can counter that attack. Which, like, yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of casually gives that.
Not Exodia. Fucking not dystopia. Utopia effect.
Scrap Iron Scarecrow, baby. And here's verbs. It gives Underwhelm, which is really interesting because it seems to almost. Oh wait, no, it's equipped only to a warrior you control.
Mm.
And you may play an additional staple or cast an additional invocation on your turn. Okay, Underwhelm is very fair then. That's a really fucking strong effect.
Yes.
But
it plays out like you're a spell guy.
Yeah, the Destin has a similar thing in their example deck, and there is a reason why it is their ace, and it is still a weak item.
And the disadvantage here is obviously you need to have a guy out first, and you need to play this, and it gives them Overwhelm, and it's a weak item. So I think that balances out.
Says, I'm going to take a wild guess and say this person likes Abyss actors. Hey, not necessarily. They might just be a theater kid.
Then we have one more card, right?
They've got one more card, which is Ensemble Theater Tragicomedy, which is a weak item stage. This card cannot be destroyed while any warriors remain on either side of the field, which is a very interesting effect. All warriors gain actor keyword and strengthen all actors all players control. That's kind of wild because it means everyone's going to be extra powerful, and so they're going to be dealing more damage, but like it's universal. I like this immediately. I think this would go absolutely crazy with any deck that can generate a bunch of weak warriors.
But this deck here says make one normal warrior as its whole set, so I think you're probably fine.
Yeah. When you play this card at the beginning of your turn, select one of the following effects, either which lasts until the beginning of your next turn. Comedy. All actors decide the outcome of a clash when they battle, regardless of strength or keywords.
That's so good for comedy.
Yeah, I love how that works with Master Sorcerer's robes, and I love the feeling of that. Like, you could imagine like a slapstick vibe of like a random weak warrior beating up like a chain titan or whatever.
Yes.
Or tragedy. Once per turn, the player whose turn it is may destroy one target actor of their choice. This is a great way to indicate tragedy as well, because things are just going to be exploding all over the place.
But also, it is always the opponent gets to do it as well. It's really sick.
Yeah, exactly. I love this kind of like symmetrical effects here. I think this is really fun. I like
they also added, I will note, a lot of text in the notes for how they balanced it, and they did a really good job here. I think the only problem with these cards is just they're very wordy. Clearly, like, it is hard to parse them. But when you have read them through, extremely sick.
Yeah, I think they could stand to, like, abbreviate the
keyword out the role text, probably.
Yeah, keyword out the role text and just have it somewhere else. That's what I tend to do. Like, that's what I did with Augment.
Yeah.
I like this. Yeah. There's been a lot of good decks so far. I'm really enjoying this.
I think they're all good decks, legitimately.
Alright, are you ready for our second gambling archetype, dear?
Yes! People love gambling. Altered's coming out soon. There's a whole color themed around gambling. I think it's just in the air.
Big sweep.
High rolling ace. When played, roll a d6. If the result is 1 or 2.
Sure is their deck's ace.
True!
They weren't lying. That high rolling can ace.
If the result is a 1 or a 2, this card becomes weak. If the result is a 5 or a 6, it becomes strong. Obviously, if it's a 3 or a 4, it stays as a normal warrior. In addition, if the result is odd, your opponent fumbles, and if it's even, this gains pressure 1. I really like how this plays. You just never know what card you're playing when you play it.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And like they're all pretty good, sort of, except for the fact that you can hit weak, I guess. But like it's really
Yeah,
neat.
but even then, 50% of the time, that's a weak that fumbles the opponent, which is like fine.
Fine,
It's not
yeah.
amazing, but it's fine.
High rolling king. When played, roll a d6. If the result is odd, you take 1 life point as damage every turn. This card is on the field. If the result is even, this card gains Piercer.
Sure. It's a strong warrior, and like strong. This is balanced correctly. I can tell this on
Yeah,
sight.
because
I
it's like average wise, half the time it doesn't get the benefit. It's kind of neat.
Mhm.
High
I like
rolling
it.
queen. When played, roll a d6. If the result is the odd, strengthen a card on your opponent's field. If even, strengthen a card on your field. I like that you still get to pick which card.
You meant that it has blocker, but
Oh
yeah.
yes, it has blocker. I like that you still get to pick which card. That makes it so it's like, I like the fact that even the downside you get to like, that feels like the kind of card you'd add to your deck if it was in a TCG and be like, I think this is a little bit better than they think it is.
Yeah.
And then high
I like
rolling jack. When this is played, roll a d6. If the result is an odd number, this gains Underwhelm. And if it is an even number, create and play a copy of this card on the field that assumably also gets to roll the d6, and that's why it's a weak warrior with teamwork.
Yeah. This one's really funny because you can imagine the world in which like the player manages to roll like 5 evens in a row, and that makes for a really like dramatic.
I'm also going to note the very important thing, which I think the creator of this card noticed. The way that teamwork works, as written, it takes all of the text of the cards in the teamwork bundle.
Which
And
is
that
why
includes the Underwhelm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very aware.
Which, that's just so fun. I really love the mechanics here. And I like
No,
the combo of themes. I like that it is both dice and cards. It just really pulls this casino-style character out.
Extremely. I like this a lot. God, it's going to be so hard to choose my favorite decks at the end of this because we're not even halfway through.
Yeah.
I'm so dead.
The fact that you can never predict what any of your cards do is really sick, and it's a really good way, I think, of representing that you have... Like, if you want to, and you feel like 4 cards isn't enough, this really lets you represent having way more cards in your deck than you do. Because, like, your ace is 6 viable cards.
It's Incinesister time next.
Yep. So this was one of the ones that originally had some AI art included. I had a talk with the person who made it. They said that what they did is they drew the cards and then they used an AI art assistant tool. Still a little bit potentially suspect because it looked like it may have been taking some elements from another artist. So what we did is we just made it text.
Alrighty. I will read through this one. I saw a little bit of it back in the Perfect Draw server, but I don't remember much of it because my memory is bad. Alright. None of these are labeled as the ace, so I'm going to assume the first card is the ace. So...
I forgot to put the ace down when I turned this into text. Yes, it is.
You forgot. So we've got Incinesister Cynthia Soul Creator first, which is a fun name. Feels nice to say, lots of S sounds. Normal Warrior, when you create this card, when you play this card, create 2 weak Incinesoul tokens. You may then burn up to 3 cards from hand, field, or grave. Choose 1 unique effect for each. Destroy target warrior, return a burn up card to the hand, or strengthen this warrior. Now, my understanding is that burn up is basically exile.
Yes, the burn up is explained right here in this thing. Up cards are removed from the game.
Okay. I think this is fun. I like that you can burn up the tokens, but it's not necessarily always the correct play because you might want them for blockers.
Yep.
I like that you can't reuse any of the 3 effects, so you've got like various different choices depending on the situation.
You've got a timer almost. And I'll also say, I really like how burn up is used in this deck in ways that get contextualized over time. For example, if you keep reading.
Okay. We've got Incinesister Carry, which is a normal warrior. During your opponent's turn only, you may burn up this card on the field and return a burnt up card to the field under your control. So it kind of like tags out once to get you another thing. You can imagine a world in which you burn up Cynthia herself with her own effect to use.
And then that theoretically lets you reuse the effects as well, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, which is pretty sick.
And what that does is it means that, like, burning up is sometimes a resource.
Then we've got Incinesister Blazing, who is a normal warrior again, and when you play this, you may burn up another warrior you control. If you do, deal 2 damage to your opponent, or they may force a fumble of your choice on themselves to cancel this effect. I love it.
Yeah.
I love this immediately because it means, like, you're having to choose which warrior you want to get rid of, and then
Your opponent gets to
choose
make a
whether
choice. And if they choose one choice, you get to make another. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this. This has a lot of interesting play, and you can imagine it, like, some choices being more or less relevant depending on...
It feels very
who you're fighting.
iconographic. Like, this is the kind of card that would have a ton of moments when played.
Yeah. And then we've got Incinesister White, who is a normal warrior, and cards you burn up are sent to the grave instead of being removed from the game. I like this because...
I like that it's sometimes a downside.
Yeah, I was about to say, I like that sometimes, since you've got things that specifically interact with burn up, but not the grave, sometimes it's going to backfire, but other times it's going to save you from decking out.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
I think it's a good thing to have in the deck, because it's like, if this is your 3rd card you play, then you're always going to be fine. I really like the burnt up mechanic here. It's a cool way to play with the, like, exile space.
Yeah. Alrighty, would you like to move on to Adventurers?
The initiative order. So this is a card that it's probably good that I'm reading it out because I have a bigger screen. Because it's a lot of text, very small. I don't think...
I'll let you take the initiative on this one.
That was terrible. That was terrible. It was good, don't worry. Dear, come on. Anyway, it has inconspicuous... Initiative order has inconspicuous and follow-up. It's a weak item ace. When this is played, roll a d20 for every warrior on the field and assign them a number. This is their initiative, and do the same for every warrior summoned afterwards. When this card is on the field, when a warrior with initiative would declare an attack, all warriors on the field, including those of the opponent's player's field, must attack in the order of the initiative. All ties in initiative are decided by the turn player.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
Yeah.
This sure makes Perfect Draw into a D20 game. Everyone has been asking, can you port Perfect Draw to Dungeons & Dragons? Do it yourself. Play this deck.
I will say, I feel like my brain is not big enough to understand the ways that this must be very powerful.
Oh, exceedingly.
Like,
you can imagine.
I'm trying to figure out the knowing the timing, the ways that you can take advantage of that with having, like, strong and weak warriors and timing that in specific ways.
Given that it only gives the initiative... Oh, wait, no, do the same for every warrior summoned afterwards.
Yes.
You can imagine, like... I feel like this would be really good in aggro, because when you're being able to functionally make every warrior on the field attack every turn, then having a bunch of warriors is
that all
good.
of your cards get to attack twice is very, very nice.
Also, I think it's really funny that technically, rules as written, you do add your tension to the d20. You do add your tension to the d20 roll. To your d20 roll. We've even got the escalation die. Who needs
okay, to
30
be fair,
damage?
we say when you roll... Oh, wait. Oh. Do we say in the book when you roll a dice? Or do we say when you roll, like, a dice for a move? Because I think that's the intention.
For a move,
yes.
but I think it would be really funny if we made an exception.
I would say we shouldn't, because that risks a lot of different, like, problems. But that's like... At that point, what you're saying is add a +1 or a +2 or whatever.
Yeah. If that was how it worked, then tension would fuck up the gambling decks earlier, and we can't have that.
Yes, and it would also be theoretically a problem for things like, what if you wanted to go last, for example.
Fair.
Anyway,
All right.
the Paladin Adventurer, they have Blocker, they're a weak warrior. Once per turn if initiative order is on the field, if this card would be destroyed, it won't.
It won't.
I like that. That's fun. Especially for a weak warrior with Blocker. That's like some Sonic chick-ass shit.
Yeah, that's fun.
Initiative order makes Patrician of Darkness look like a minor inconvenience. So true.
It really does.
The
Oh, I
Rogue
like this deck
Adventurer,
well.
inconspicuous. Once per turn, if initiative order is on the field, when this card attacks a warrior with lower initiative, you can decide the outcome of a clash regardless of power.
I love this. A weak warrior with inconspicuous that just happens to be able to
It has such a good assassin theme of I went first, so I hit you in the back of the throat, so I always have a chance.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm just gonna kill this strong overwhelmed warrior because die. I like that. I really. This feels deeply thematic. I'm enjoying how thematic this feels to D20 fantasy games.
The Wizard Adventurer, just like in D20 fantasy games, the Wizard Adventurer has the most text.
I also love how all of these are weak. I love there's something incredibly charming about a deck that is only weak.
One can imagine you add like the Fighter Adventurer later, and they have they're actually a normal warrior. When this card is played, you may draw a card and then place a card in your hand or on the field on the bottom of your deck. Once per turn, if the initiative order is on the field, when it's this card's turn to attack, attacked, and you played a staple this turn, you can forgo the attack to activate the staple again.
I like it. That kind of lets you reuse a staple once per turn.
Yeah.
Which is like a fine enough effect. I think it's really interesting that this deck has no intrinsic ways to actually kill anyone. Kill any opponents. It has no damage output because they're all weak warriors.
Oh, true.
So I think you probably definitely play either like Summon Knight or Fireball more likely, and then you just Fireball out with the Wizard Adventurer, which very thematic.
Yeah! Yeah, that's pretty good.
I like this.
Oh wait, no, I accidentally put this one in twice. Okay, thank God. I was about to say, do we have a third gambling mechanic? A third gambling deck that I forgot about.
You accidentally put in the high rolling deck again.
Yeah.
Gamble jump scare. Alrighty.
You can read this one. It's just 2 cards. Most of the ones we had, people submitted whole decks. But here they just submitted like a cool little 2-card synergy.
You know what? I respect that. I respect that this person was like, I'm going to show you 2 cards, and they're going to be pretty cool cards. So we've got here Honorable Duelist Rapier, a normal warrior with Pierce 1 and Blocker. Yeah, that's thematic. If this warrior is the only warrior on your side of the field, apply Strengthen to it. Cannot attack directly even while under the effects of another card. And Honorable Duelist Dueling Grounds. Weak item. Each player could only have 1 warrior on their board. I love this. I immediately love it.
Yes.
There is something so fun of, I'm going to play 1 guy.
I'll say this one thing that's really this reminds me a lot of very early manga Yu-Gi-Oh, where both people had to have 1 warrior on the field to attack. Like, this feels honorable it's an honorable duelist. It really pushes that theme in a really nice way.
Yeah, this is extremely early Jewel Disc when you threw them kind of thing.
Yes.
I love it. Nell says, with this much Gamba decks, Japan is going to come close down the duelist arenas. They're going to be sent the way of the game corner. We're in danger.
So sad. Memory's broken.
Can I read the next one? Given this was only 2 cards.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, next up we have Petal Patrol, which a very charming name immediately. And we are starting with Petal Patrol Queen Rafflesia, who is a weak warrior ace. Anytime you see a weak card as an ace, you just know they're up to some bullshit. Positive.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, what effect did you have to give to justify it being weak?
Yeah.
And let's find out. When this card enters play, place 2 petal counters on it. Sure. During your turn, you may remove 1 petal counter from one of your cards, strengthen one of your warriors until the end of the turn. So you can just potentially just burn 2 petal counters off the bat to make this into a strong. That makes sense. During any turn, you may remove 3 petal counters from your cards to prevent any warrior or item from being destroyed. This is fascinating. Comparatively, this is really expensive, though the strengthen was until end of turn. But burning up 3 to prevent anything from being destroyed is ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We have Petal Breeze. Put a petal counter on each warrior you control. That's fun.
Cloudy and us shit.
Cloudian behavior.
Yeah.
I like this already. We've got Petal Patrol Twin Rose, who is a normal warrior with teamwork, and when it enters play, place 2 petal counters on it. More counters? Sure. And finally, we've got Petal Patrol Briar. Pierce of 1, normal warrior. When this card enters play, put a petal counter onto it, and during your turn, you may remove 2 petal counters from your cards to deal 1 damage to competitor. Competitor. I like this.
Yeah.
I know
Very
I've been saying that a
Cloudian.
lot, but I think this is a nice, clean, simple resource system that does great with their first 4 cards alone. We've got 2 ways to spend petal counters.
I like that Briar gives you an alternate direction from the defensive strategy of Rafflesia.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like a second, like a backup ace.
Yeah, this is like your like junk warrior to your Stardust Dragon.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is fun. Next up, you can do this next one. I remember seeing this one.
Technically, we only allow people to submit 4 cards, but this submitter found a sneaky way to submit 5 anyway.
Ow.
They just submitted a second set and then said, please. So I did it.
Please?
So you have the core card here, which is their Ace, Eternal Darkness, Inconspicuous. Once per turn, flip all face-up warriors on your side of the field face down and shuffle their positions.
Nora, wait. Well, it's a good thing they only sent 1 more card. Surely no one else has sent more than that, and surely we'll be dealing with only 4 cards for the rest of this video, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, now the left team. Right?
Here, you peeked the bloody mic. Once per turn, flip all warriors on your side of the field face down and shuffle their positions. Then they have 4 different cards that play on It Came From the X. Each of them have this text, and they are a weak warrior. When this card is played, place it face down, flip it face up when it's attacked. This card cannot attack. Then they all have unique effects. It Came From the Woods says, when this card is destroyed by battle, gain 2 life. Came From the Shadows says, the first time this card is attacked, immediately destroy the attacking warrior. If you do, strengthen this card.
This is also a normal, unlike the rest of them.
Oh, you're right, it is. It Came From the Lagoon. When this card is destroyed by battle, remove the effects of all warriors currently face up on the field. I assume that means till end of turn and not permanently.
Yeah, probably.
And then It Came From the Basement. When this card is destroyed by battle, deal 2 damage to the owner of the warrior who destroyed it. The mechanics are fascinating. Like, obviously it's a play on flip warriors from Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
This is specifically a play on the final boss of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Night Shroud, I think, whose whole gimmick is that every turn they like put all of their back row face down and shuffle them around, and then like you have to activate them to do specific effects based on which was activated.
I assume that this card cannot attack text is there basically to solve the problem of what would this look like if they attacked. That just solves that problem, and then it does require the opponent to be specifically proactive, which is interesting.
And the reason why I think this is a reference to that is because said deck was called Darkness, and we've got Eternal Darkness here, so...
That said, I want to imagine this as being like an old movie theme. Like 50s B-movie.
Oh, 100%. Look at those names. It's like a B-movie deck.
I want to dream that world.
The person who sent it in even was like, the theme is that the user of this, who is a spirit, I believe, who's It Came From the Shadows, because they've got myself here, a horror creature that wants to be taken seriously, but everyone just kind of laughs at them. And honestly, same bestie, I feel this in my soul.
Okay, I'm gonna run to the toilet. I've already read this next card. Can you read them out to the audience while I run to the toilet real quick?
Absolutely. I am now soloing. Oh. I go in here and I look at these cards and I'm immediately like, I know who did this, because I saw Flash of Possibility. Hi Lulu. I'm really excited to look at these, honestly. So we've got Cunning Cartwheeler. Which one's the ace, actually? Because we should probably start with the ace. Let's start with Flash of Possibility, then, which is the ace. It's an invocation. I think this is the first time today we've seen an invocation ace. Someone use gameicons.net. I love gameicons.net. I will say it and I will say it again. I'm just gonna keep using it.
We didn't end up using gameicons.net in anything in the book.
We didn't use it for anything in the book because Nora's actually a graphic designer and is good at these things. But I'm not, so...
I had to crop out the star for size. I'm so sorry.
We have destroy any warrior or item or deal 1 damage to anyone. If there is a challenge active, double the reward. With the right mindset, anything is possible, even if that thing is throwing your entire backpack into a trash compactor. I guess. I love that this has flavor text. I love that you've got like a card art that like you've given colors to match the theme. I like this a lot, and I'm excited to learn what challenge does. All right, so with that in mind, let's look at Cunning Cartwheeler. It is a normal warrior. If this warrior loses or ties a clash while attacking, it is not destroyed. That's fun. And challenge is win a clash. Reward, strengthen a warrior. Yeah?
Yeah.
Only 1 challenge can be active at a time. If you ever have multiple, choose 1 to keep. Challenges stay even if the card is removed. That is very fun. I like that it's like, oh, which is the goal that you're going to aim for. You can change the challenge based on what you think is most optimum, but also you only get the reward for whichever challenge you have on, so you want to try and complete them as fast as possible. I also like if this warrior loses or ties a clash while attacking, it is not destroyed. I'll say again, I love normal warriors that incentivize you to attack without getting like necessarily overwhelmed. And this is a fun way to think there of like it's just gonna keep trying. We have Egg and Spoon Lancer, which is a confusing name, but okay.
Yes. Okay, I will note all of these because Mystic Sailboat has noted this, and it might make more sense with that, but I had to cut them down for size. The way these were presented is that they were actually on like a big star with these in the center of the star. Does that make any sense? Is this a reference to a book I haven't read or something like that?
My assumption, knowing Lulu was a cool friend and put these cards in, is that these are a reference to Jetlag, the game, the show.
Okay.
But I haven't watched Jetlag, the game, the show, so I don't know.
Fair
Sorry
enough.
about that one. Anyways, this is a weak warrior with pressure 2, which, sure, fun.
Yeah.
Challenge, counter your opponent's play, reward, draw 2 cards. I think this is very interesting because it rewards you for, like, using your counters early and often, which is not necessarily always the correct play, because it means that you might not be able to counter, like, especially powerful cards in the late game. I like it. And then finally we have Overnight Train Rest, which is an invocation. You gain 1 life. The challenge is draw 2 cards. And the reward is add follow-up to the next card you play, and you gain 1 life. I like that this challenge can't be done even with done off of the draw 2 from the rewards from the previous one.
Oh, true.
Because you can only have 1 challenge at once. That's a fun little like inbuilt like balancing trick, and I like all of these. These are like fun.
I really like
effects.
the text add follow-up to the next card you play. I think that is fascinating for a card you sit down there. That's a permanent. That is so cool, and I want to put that on another card. You know, I'm immediately thinking like, oh shit, can I put that in one of the pre-made cards somewhere? Can I steal that? Which I probably shouldn't. I don't think I could fit it in, but it's really sick.
I like these. I like that Flash of Possibility lightly encourages you to not immediately complete your challenges. I also think it's really funny how you could, like, play... Because all of the phases in Perfect Draw turns aren't set in stone. You could play Overnight Train Rest before doing your draw for turn in order to help the challenge.
And notably, you can draw 2 cards off of the what is it? Push for the win effect. What was that one called? The move that lets you spend advantage. I forgot what it's called.
Risk everything to win.
Risk everything to win, yeah.
Alternatively, you can also just do this by having the stable that draws you a card.
Yeah.
But then you're spending your entire turn doing nothing but playing an invocation that
And
gives
then giving
you life
follow-up,
and
assumably, to the next...
draw a card.
But you get follow-up for the next card you play next turn, so you play 3 cards next turn. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I like this. I think this is really fun. I like the choices of art you've given. I like the gradient that you've given over that train rest. I like all of these. Yeah. Let's move on to... Oh my god, they're called bento boxes.
It's so good. I love Bento Boxer.
Go to the next slide, dear. Go to the next slide.
I am. I'm on the next slide. Bento Boxer, Champion Jubako. I don't... Iris, correct me if I say something... I say it completely incorrectly. Champion Jubako.
I can say the names if you want.
Yeah, you do that for the next sets. But
Also,
Sniper
I
1...
need to state, I'm pretty sure this is a pun off of, like, spellbinding and ball.
Oh.
Because spellbinding is jubaku in Japanese, I believe, and bako is almost the same as hako, which means box, which I think is a wonderful name.
But it is Sniper 1, and then Ring Match. They didn't actually say anything where a Ring Match does, but I assume, based on context, that it does, but based on the effects, it says it's the first time you win combat, this gains its Ring Match effect. Which is Champion Jubanko may decide the outcome of a clash, even against cards it couldn't otherwise. Bento...
Nathan26 in chat says they're all named after types of bento. I am stupid and did not know that. Sorry.
That makes perfect sense. That's really cute. But do you want to say the name?
Bento Boxer Ekiben.
Thank you. Piercer 1, Ring Match. Strengthen this warrior until the end of your turn. Very fun.
Sure.
And then do you want to say the name again?
Of course. This is Oekakiben, a bento boxing ring.
When Oekakiben enters the field, each competitor player / player returns warriors from their side of the field back to their hand until they only control 1. While...
Woo! Welcome back, honorable duelist!
Yes! While it's on the field, each competitor player may only control 1 warrior. I do actually think this is a really smart text to go with that, because it explains technically what happens. So it fulfills some of those extra spaces. And then
I like it.
Bento for 2. Target warrior draws a card, then reveals it.
Target opponent draws a card.
Target opponent draws a card. Activate one of these effects, depending on the type of card revealed. Warrior. Strengthen target warrior until the end of turn. Item, gain 1 life. Invocation, draw 1 card. And then this is Overwork.
This is weird, because those effects are kind of very small, and also it's letting your opponent draw a card, and Overwork is, like, very detrimental for you.
That said, I'm imagining the intention is you do, like, some commander-ass bullshit.
I have to imagine that you use this to... I have to imagine that instead of target opponent, it's target competitor, and you use this on, like, your opponent or something.
You use this on, like, your ally, who is, like, you know, you're in a free-for-all, but, like, I mean, we're definitely working together, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Tigerel says, honorable duelist bento boxer deck tech when. So true.
Oh, absolutely.
Next meta threat. Maybe this will finally be able to topple the meta-defining threat that is Gamba Turbo.
Finally. The gambling deck is just so strong in the meta right now. I mean, with all of these decks, and I mean, the sacrifice stuff. Oh, God.
I like how the main 3 themes throughout all of this have been undead, gambling, and duelist.
Yeah. To be fair, we've already been through so many. But then we have here, I'm going to say the names of this one, I guess.
Okay.
We have the Earth Movers. We have Earth Mover, Rail Nailer, Carolina.
It's probably Carolina, because this is all named after American places.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
This is a normal warrior, and when this card is played or before it attacks, you may create a weak item named Railroad. Railroad items you control could not be destroyed by that. This is immediately fascinating.
This is actually just the pitch for America to get a better railroad system.
Finally! Please! I don't even live in America and I need that. I'm imagining like a train that is actively laying its own rails before it, kind of thing. Corky, hi Corky. Blue Train says, Earth
I like how train
have you seen my
activation is
bees yet?
clearly...
We are not up to bees. We have not seen a bees yet.
Oh, actually,
But
I can say this. If yours is the B deck I think it was, we may have actually had to have cut it because it was using AIR.
I like trains.
But then we have Rail Mover, Road Dozer, Jersey.
This is a normal warrior, and you may destroy a railroad item and strengthen this card until end of turn at any time. That's nice. And when this card attacks and destroys an item or warrior, you may create 2 railroads. Sure.
I assume we're gonna get the railroad payoff soon, right?
That is a railroad payoff right there.
Oh yeah, you destroy a railroad item and strengthen this. Yeah, I guess so. You're right. Yeah, I just completely missed that.
And here we have Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. Earth Mover Ultra Heavy Railgun Texas.
Yeah.
Legally distinct. This is their ace. It's a strong warrior. It's got Overwhelm, Overwork, and Pierce a 1 at the start, which is immediately fascinating. That is like, holy crap.
You play this and it like it has to shatter the battlefield, right?
Yeah, this thing like just kind of. This is bigger than the whole, than like any nearby building. At the start of your turn, you must either sacrifice
I
one
play
railroad
Texas.
item
Everything on Earth is destroyed.
or this card. And here's the fun part. This card can attack warriors or items a number of times equal to the number of railroad items you control. This is hilarious.
So is this why America decides to like not add more rails because they're afraid it will make Texas too strong?
Yeah. I adore this.
Yes.
I love the downsides of overwork and sacrificing railroads. I love the fact that it's like the biggest fucking fungus ever.
Yeah.
And it gets to attack a ton of times. You can imagine this just rending through your opponent's field. I love this.
And then we have finally Railway Expansion.
Legally distinct from Train Card Outrigger Expansion. Do not misrepresent. It is an invocation, and it either creates 2 railroads or creates a railroad and then adds an Earth Mover from deck or grave to your hand. But if you added it from grave, you may not play it this turn. I won't lie. This is a deeply charming way to adapt rank 10 trains into Perfect Draw in a way that gives them like their own. I
love railroads as a mechanic. It feels so thematic, right?
Yeah, you can imagine your opponent trying to get around Texas by blowing up the railroads first.
Yeah, I'm gonna get around Texas by blowing up the railroads. You're right.
This is the incredibly funny sentence to be able to say out of context.
So fucking true.
Finally, we will be able to destroy Texas. Anyways, this rules.
Oh yeah, I adore this. Then we have the All-Weather Armor series. It's a little bit hard to read, so I'll be sure to read them through.
Oh, yeah.
First, we have All-Weather Armor Lightning Rod Glaive. Teamwork, once per turn, you can take damage from a card effect. If you take damage from a card effect, you can activate one of these effects. Add an All-Weather Armor warrior from your graveyard to your hand, or all other warriors you control gain teamwork. All-Weather Armor Coldfire Cloak says, Sniper 1. Oh, these are... Lightning Rod Glaive is a weak warrior. All-Weather Armor Coldfire Cloak is a normal warrior and has Sniper 1. If this warrior is inconspicuous, it can attack directly. When this card is added to your hand from anywhere, reveal this card to your opponent, then gain 1 life. So clearly there's like a little synergy there.
Yeah,
All-Weather Armor Rescue Sail has warrior is a weak warrior. It has inconspicuous. At the end of the turn, if you have a card in your hand, you can shuffle 1 card from either your hand or graveyard to your deck, then draw 1 card. Then you can activate 1 natural disaster card from your hand, for which they have 1.
I want to say being able to shuffle a card from graveyard into deck is very strong here because it means that you're not decking out.
It's very...
And also, it's kind of... But I think that's fine because it's like, this is a very strong weak warrior.
Then we have their only natural disaster, which is Natural Disaster Leaping Flames. Now, this is something we very generally advise against. I'll go on against that after we finish reading. Which is, during each player's turn, when the turn player begins to attack with warriors, roll plus tension, then apply the appropriate effects based on the roll. Critical success, your opponent takes 1 damage. Moderate success, each player takes 1 damage. Failure, you take 1 damage. If you took damage from this effect, choose one warrior you control. It gains inconspicuous until the end of turn. I like a lot of this. I really like what this does. I think you would have to cut the tension stuff out for a lot of reasons. Stuff that we mentioned in the book, I'm not sure if we mentioned that in the demo kit, but I believe we did. I can't confirm that here. But using tension as something that you're using in your card designs can be a little bit risky for a number of reasons.
It's a bit of an edge case where, like, tension is kind of the way that you're meant to do this if you do it at all, but also...
I would probably... My recommendation would be, instead of doing that, you could very easily change this from roll 2d6, add the number of all-weather armor you have on the field. Which basically simulates those same numbers very, very well. But otherwise, this is really nice. It is very internally synergistic in a way that, like, a Yu-Gi-Oh deck is.
Yeah, this deck is very, like, tight-knit without being parasitic. I like how taking the damage from Leaping Flames triggers Lightning Rod, which
You've got a combo. Combo line.
I like this.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up, we have Kindred Spirits, which are... Also, I see what the next deck on the slide is. We're in danger.
We're a little bit in danger. We'll get to that. Let's go for Kindred Spirits. I like these guys.
Yeah. Alright, let's start with their ace. Kindred Spirit Reaper. This is a strong warrior with Overwhelm. Strengthen all other warriors on your field if this warrior is defeated. Return this to the hand instead of sending it to the grave. This seems pretty darn strong, because, like, a strong Overwhelm warrior that also buffs your guys and returns himself to the hand.
Yeah.
But he's your ace, so it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Then we've got Kindred Calling. Add 1 Kindred Spirit Reaper if you... from where? If you control a Kindred Spirit
I'd be interested to see what the, I'd be interested to see what the balancing was for this one, you know?
So you get Reaper probably from deck, because Reaper can get itself from grave already. Spirit Reaper looking very strong here, frankly. A recurable, overwhelming ace.
That also buffs all your other guys.
Kindred Spirit Lamb. This is a weak warrior, which is strengthened if you have another Kindred Spirit warrior. This seems really weak, conversely, because, like...
It's just a normal warrior. But I assume that what this one is it's for each. Assumably this is meant to say for each. At which point, this is pretty fun, I think. Which is, most of the time it's a normal warrior, sometimes it's weak, and a good amount of the time it's a strong warrior. And that's very fair, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. And then finally we have Kindred Spirit Wolf, who's a normal warrior with Overwhelm, and when he's defeated you draw a card. That's clean. Nothing fancy, but I think that is a good, efficient, nice card.
Absolutely.
Overall, I like the theme of Kindred Spirits, and we've got Wolves, Lambs, and Reapers. You can imagine, like, a kind of, like, Wolves and Sheep puzzle kind of theming.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Reaper
feels too strong, and Lamb feels too weak.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to see how they balanced it using the balancing rules, because I'm unsure how you got to these ends like that, but I'd be interested to see it.
Nora, are you ready to go to the next slide?
Yeah. Okay, so we have. If you've been watching Dimensional Chasers, you have seen Nell Celestine's deck, and it is fantastic. One thing that is notable is they started their deck with 8 cards in their starting deck. Everyone in that one did, and Nell submitted something around, I think, 23. I did not add all 23 here. I added the first 12. But that's still 3 pages.
So we're gonna skim through these a bit.
Yes.
Pretty much every single Armored Maiden, unless we otherwise state, has sliver text, basically, if you've played MTG. They give all other Armored Maidens except themselves a specific buff. So we've got Raven here, who gives all other ones strengthened, and she's strong. I do have to state, The Dimension Chasers team got commissions for several of their card art, which I think is incredible, and like seriously, they're so high production. Make sure to watch the next
With
session.
any luck, there's another stream tomorrow.
I need to finish my prep for it. Then we've got Tactica here, who she's cute, and she gives all your other Armored Maidens Sniper 1. We've got Blader, who gives all of them Blocker. These two are weak. And
Ghost,
then we've got
Ghost, which is the first time at the start of your turn, select another Armored Maiden you control. Both this and the target Armored Maiden gain inconspicuous until the start of your next turn. So it's sort of doing that thing, but it's slightly different.
It's sort of like a phasing out thing almost.
Then we have the next set, which includes one that is definitely not just doing the normal thing. Which is a second ace, which is Armored Maiden Hanzo. When Armored Maiden Hanzo and summoned, add Armored Maiden Jinrai to the field from the deck, hand, or graveyard as well. Shadow Strike. This is a keyword that I don't actually remember because they added a bunch of keywords from the stream. I don't remember, what does Shadow Strike do again?
Shadow Strike explains itself here, which is you may choose to use this card to attack your opponent directly, but it does half damage, half the damage it would normally do, rounded up.
That's interesting on a normal warrior. Okay, fair enough.
So that's just the text of Shadow Strike.
And all the warriors you control are strengthened if they did not attack the previous turn. So it's like a weird variant on Raven. Jinrai, Shadow Strike. You may choose to use this card to attack your opponent directly this turn.
Text again. It's
Armored Maiden Hecate is normal stuff, and then Spelljammer, which, do you remember what that one did?
Spelljammer is immune to being destroyed by card effects. It's the counterpart of Indestructible, which is the same but for battle, and a card can't have both of them.
Fair enough.
Then we've got Ariel, which gives all of your other Armored Maidens Overwhelm, but must win Coin Toss. I'm unclear as to when this Coin Toss happens. Is it an Arcana Force situation when Ariel is played? Is it at the start of each of your turns? I don't know. Then we moved on to Armored Maiden Aegea, who is another weak warrior.
Which is teamwork, but for defense, is my understanding?
Yeah, it's blocker teamwork.
Yeah. And then we have Voila, which all other maidens you control gain Indestructible, which seems wildly strong. It being other is obviously important, but that combo with blocker is obviously very, 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 very strong.
That combo with blocker, that combo with Raven.
Yes.
Then we've got Armored Maiden OS update, which is just an invocation that draws you a card and has follow-up, which is just like, that is Upstart Goblin. That is just Upstart Goblin.
Big fan of that.
We've got Armored Maiden Self-Destruct, another invocation which sacks an Armored Maiden to pop a card of equal or lesser value and can pay a life to destroy one tier higher. I like this because it's just like an upgraded version of one of the basic staples.
I'm gonna return back to the front because these have like the cool card images and most of the bits, but I do love this deck. I think Sliver's, like Sliver style stuff, is really cool for Perfect Draw.
Yeah.
And obviously, I didn't get to go through the other, like, half of stuff. They start getting into stuff that they marked as spoilers as well, so I wanted to avoid everything where spoilers start to show up. And also not taking too much time.
Nell says coin toss starts when clash. Okay.
Fair enough. That makes sense. So they coin toss when they do it, but they get additionally strengthened. And yeah, it's very, very snowball-y. But in a way that I do like. I like snowball-y decks, especially when we are limited by, you can only play one guy per turn, and nothing here gives follow-up is very important. The world where you release an Armored Maiden that said, Armored Maidens you control in your hand to follow up would be insane.
Nightmare.
But before then, I think it's actually entirely fair, very fun. It plays at, like, if you get ahead on tempo, you win the tempo, and that's great. But if you ever fall back behind, it's so hard to scrounge yourself back up.
Extremely.
Then
would you like to read the cards, Steve?
Yeah. We have another set of two. They're both kind of really cool generic-y effects. I really like these.
These ones are other cards that were in Dimension Chasers but got cut, I believe.
Yep. We have Linan City. I believe that's how you pronounce Cide. I think. I don't know on the top of my head. Once per turn, you may give your opponent one life. If you do, draw one card. Really like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And Oberon Fairy King. When this warrior enters the battlefield, you may search your deck for a warrior and summon it to the field.
Sure, that's pretty strong.
For an
but-
ace, that makes perfect sense. It's like...
Yeah, for an ace, this feels very fair. It's kind of just, it is like functionally a search and follow-up, ultimately.
Yeah.
Nell said, looked at the prototype Armored Maiden launch catapult that lets you summon 2 warriors instead of using a staple invocation.
Yeah.
Brilliant Loser says, I feel like I should know this reference. This is a Fey Court kind of thing, the fair folk, you know?
I believe Oberon is from specifically Shakespeare's play. I don't believe Leonard's also from that.
I believe she's just a part of Celtic mythology.
Yes. But that'll make sense. I think these feel like probably top-down designs in ways I don't entirely grok. Linan specifically, but Oberon, I get the idea of obviously, like, you know, this is fairy circles type bit. It's very cute.
Next up, should I read these ones?
Go for it.
We have Jurassic Park. I immediately adore the mixture of Jurassic Park and Terminator, and the theming here feels very 90s movie.
Yes!
So we're starting off with Terminatosaurus Rex, which is a strong ace warrior. You can stack 2 fossil tokens on the field to summon this, and once per turn you may sacrifice a fossil token to strengthen this. Cost to summon, they've got the pricing here.
Oh, I forgot to remove that.
And then we've got Jurassic Park. It's a strong item, and when this is played and at the start of your turns, create a weak raptor cycle. Wow, I love cycles are. And raptor cycles leave a fossil token behind when destroyed.
I really like that. It reminds me a lot of Bone Decks from Inscription.
Yeah, that's deeply charming. We've got Triceracopter, which is a normal warrior. Stack a fossil warrior to summon this. Overwhelm Piercer Sniper, and when this is destroyed, create a fossil token. I like that this needs the fossil generators to be online, but is like a really fucking good normal warrior.
Yeah.
I like this. And then lastly, we have Hard Meteor Reset. I love the theming here. I adore the theming here.
It's really good.
I wish Orion was here because I think Orion would go absolutely feral for these.
Yeah. But okay, I get this. I want this to be on an ally who's like actually like a movie buff.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I really or like maybe a glowing that's also a movie, something like that, you know.
Or a resolve who thinks dinosaurs and robots are really, really cool.
True.
But Brilliant Loser says it should have been Triceratops so I could get to it. So true. So this is an invocation that says destroy all warriors and items on all competitors' fields. For each card destroyed, create a fossil token on each side of the field. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that you can choose to like not pop items if you want to protect Jurassic Park. And I like that it makes fossil tokens because it means that you've got 2 things that make Triceratops alive, and then hopefully between the 3 of them you have enough fossil tokens to source.
And I assume your base deck's going to have just your staples is going to have like warriors you put down so you can hard meteor reset. You create that. You can see how this goes. I'm standing by very bone stuff from chapter 1, chapter 2 of Inscription.
Yeah. Alrighty. Off to the next act, which is another one with
sort of.
Sort of?
Yes, because the way this one works is there are actually only 4 cards here, but one of them is a token. So they included that.
Yeah, so it is.
I'll just read through the token first, actually. It's called Junkyard Frame. You may only control 1 Junkyard Frame at a time. This token cannot be targeted by opponent's effects while you have a scrap attachment. If this token will be destroyed, you may instead destroy a scrap attachment that would not otherwise be destroyed. And then its ace version of this is a good way to explain like what this deck does. Scrap attachment Punchtron. If you do not have one, create a Junkyard Frame. While this is attached to the field, strengthen Junkyard. While this card's on the field, strengthen Junkyard Frames. Once per turn, you may draw a card. While this card's on the field, Junkyard Frames gain Piercer and Sniper. All of the cards have the create 1 Junkyard Frame if there's not one, and strengthen them.
Okay, so all of these basically want to like buff up your single Junkyard Frame.
And they all create it, so it's sort of like equips, but they all create the thing it equips to, but you still only ever have 1.
Yeah, that's a cute way to do modular mecha type stuff.
Exactly. It's like mechs or maybe like cars or just even just equipped stuff. It's a smart design.
Yeah.
But we
Do
got
you
missile
want...
battery. If you do not have one, create a junkyard scrapyard token. I'll just skip over that part from now on. This one says at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to target opponent. Hyper Motor says junkyard frames can attack twice per turn, and bulky body says this card it has blocker.
Notably, bulky body is a normal, whereas the other two are weaks, because I think, as rules is written, bulky body is what has blocker rather than junkyard frame.
Which I assume the intention is that's your best first play because junkyard frame is weak, and if you want to protect your junkyard frame, even if it becomes a normal warrior, you kind of need to stop getting attacked. Oh, and they say here the flavor is that they're little pieces of junk that attach to big robots to make functional robots. I really like that.
I love that. That's adorable.
And then we have our last one. We've finally gotten through them all.
It's another black deck. Do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, please do.
We have the ectoplasma archetype, and I love the puns in these names.
Yeah.
So first we've got ectoplasma duelist, which, and when this card is played from the hand, charge. While you have at least 3 charge counters, strengthen this. When you play this card, if you have at least 8 charge counters, strengthen this again. If you do, it cannot attack the turn. So it starts off as a normal, but can potentially become a strong or a strong with overwhelm if you have enough charge. But it overcharges in a way and needs a bit to attack, which is very fun. Then we have Ectoplasma Voltgeist. Again, love these names. When this card is played from the hand, charge. I assume every time you play one of them, you get every time you charge, you get like a charge counter.
So like when experience counters in MTG is what I'm imagining, is what I understand of it.
Yeah. When you summon this warrior, if you have at least 3 charge counters, target 1 normal or weaker item your opponent controls. Destroy it and discharge 3. I assume that's like lose 3 charge counters, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me.
Then we have Ectoplasma Burial Ground, which is an invocation. Target a normal or weaker warrior your opponent controls, destroy it on charge. I like how both of these only hit normal or weaker things, which is a fun way to be like, yeah, you can't just pre-pop your opponent's strong monster. I like that. And finally, we have Ectoplasma Apportuator, which is a normal item, and when this is played at the start of each of your turns, you get to charge. Yeah, I think this is clean.
Yeah, I think these are nice. I really like this sort of plays a different angle on your ramp style decks. Since you never actually spend the charge except for one effect, and most of them care about reaching a certain charge threshold. I think that plays like a really fun sort of theme here. Now, before we get into talking about which ones we like best, or little trophies, I'm just going to go through these decks really quick and say who made them, now that we can, for the ones we have that. This was designed by, the Mausoleums were designed by Nathaniel W. The Heavenly Treasures, the Heavenscent archetype was designed by Alexis. The Terra Cutters were designed by Jesus Mendoza. We saw the Avenging archetype was designed by Morrigan Spade. The Mew archetype is designed by Shadow Mew. We do not know who did the Festival archetype. Sorely, they did not include their name. The Corpse King is done by Azzy Buark. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Poltergeists are done by Winter's Wonderland. We don't know who did the Ensemble, sadly. For the Rolling Aces, this is done by Howard Huddy. Incinesister are done by Romanical. Oh, we seem to get... Earth Set has said that they've done the Ensembles, so we got that now, luckily enough. Initiative Order is also done by Howard Huddy. High Rolling Ace, again, because I put that in twice, is also done by Howard Huddy, but a second time.
Second time?
The Pedal Patrol is done by Max Mouse.
You missed Honorable Duelist.
Honorable Duelist, we do not know who did it, sorely. And, no, sorry, Earth Civet is Winter Wonderland.
Okay.
The Cunning Cartwheeler is done by Lulu Tier. Eternal Darkness is done by Howard Huddy. Bento Box is done by Nathaniel W. We do not know who did the Earth Movers, sadly, because I really do love this archetype. The All-Weather Armors is done by David Lemieux. We do not know who did the Kindred Spirits. The Armored Maidens is done by Nell Celestine.
Of course.
The Lenans, the Fae
Fairy
cards.
Court.
The Fairy Court cards are done by Persephone, Noiverna. We do not know who did the Meteor cards, sadly, as well. We don't know who did the Scrap Attachment cards, although they were in chat, actually, so we can say. That was Lord Pringle.
Ectoplasma said was originally made by Idiot Bananatron. Shout out to Bananatron, cool person.
Yeah.
But was adopted by Nathan26.
Yes. Lovely, lovely. And then, we have our trophies. We
Yep.
have one for most interesting design, cleanest design, and most evocative theme. Dear, does anything stand out to you?
For most evocative theme, the thing that's speaking to me the most is honestly the festival cards.
Oh. Lord Pringle is Abby, I'll just note that there. You're right. You're right. Those are very, very good. They're very... They're so cute. Oh. I'm tempted to say... I'm just going to bring those back. The festival cards are the countdown ones. I'm also tempted to say the Polterghost, so...
Yeah.
Because those
spoiler alert.
integrate everything so well.
Yeah, Nora showed me the Polterghosts in advance and said that she loved them, so I was expecting this. I am gonna hold by fireworks because I think they're a really cool way to do a alt WinCon deck, and I think we need more of those in Perfect Draw. But I think I am also okay with Polterghost getting it.
Okay, I'm gonna put Polterghost in there for now. I'll just take the ace, I guess, and I'll paste that in nearby. They can win the most evocative theme for now. But for cleanest design, what are your thoughts?
For cleanest design, let me go look through them again. What are we defining by cleanest design here?
The set that has like the mechanics that feel that everything just sort of wraps up together in a way that isn't necessarily evocative as the other one, or interesting in that it's doing something new, but everything just sort of works and you understand it and it's neat and it's cool.
Call this friend nepotism, if you will, but I'm voting the jet lag deck. I'm voting Lulu's Splash Possibility deck.
I can definitely get that. I will make my other two pitches, though, if that's okay.
Pardon?
I'm going to make my other two pitches, which is the Railroad deck, which I think... The Railroad deck.
That's true. That's pretty good.
The Railroad deck's pretty good. And, I'm going to be a little bit weird, I think the Avenging deck, honestly. Like, everything here is very simple, but they have a lot of really interesting, very strong design skill in here.
That's true. I don't know.
Okay, what if we just put down two winners but we have a winner for both of us for each of these?
Yeah.
So your evocative theme choice was which one again?
Flash of Possibility, the jet lag deck.
No, that was your cleanest design, not evocative theme.
Oh, for evocative theme, I said what did I said festival. I said the festival deck.
Let me grab the festivals, and we can make that the your pick for most evocative theme. Well, I'll get that sorted in a sec. And then for cleanest design, you're going with the Flash Possibility deck, and I'm going to go with the Trains deck, which I love.
Yeah, I think the Trains are also a good choice.
And then for most interesting deck, while I copy these in, do you have any thoughts?
Most interesting deck. I had a thought, but I've forgotten it. I think it might have been the Corpse King deck. But let me go look through them again.
Yeah, that's a good choice, honestly. I could definitely see that.
The Corpse King deck, the Incinesister are also pretty good, though.
Yes. Okay, I would go for the Corpse King deck if you go for the Incinesister deck.
Sure.
Yeah, let's go with that then. Then I think we have our winners as soon as I paste everything in. But for most evocative theme, we have Polterghosts and Fireworks Festival. For cleanest design, we have the Earth Movers and the Flash of Possibility deck. And then for the most interesting design, we had, what was yours again?
Mine was Incinesister and yours was Corpse King.
Yeah. Incinesister and Corpse King. Where did they end up?
And by the way, thank you so much for everyone who sent in decks.
There was not a single design here that I thought was... Like, nothing here was bad. They were always interesting. They were well designed.
Yeah. Every single one of these designs clearly has someone's whole heart poured into it and has, like, a really cool and evocative theme. I love all of these, and thank you so much.
Yeah, legitimately. I'll give a chance now if anyone has any Q&A questions. But Perfect Draw launches in 5 days.
I'm terrified.
As you should be. But I can say this: we've reached over 1,000 subscriptions on the pre-note, which is really exciting. I think that means that we're almost assured to get everything funded. Things are going to do well, and I'm excited to see you all through with it. We have plans for future streams to add to everything as well. In the future, and we have some other interesting things to have going on through the campaign. We'll be doing a final pick through at the a final a post about all of this in a day from now. Say, here's everything that's coming. We're about to launch. Everyone get excited. Make sure that you join our Discord if you are interested in keeping even further up to date. It's where we give every small update that we don't want to bother everyone about.
Also, the community there is lovely. We've got a couple of questions in chat. First of all,
lovely.
RBA says, I wonder if this game could do a Netrunner-like. Both me and Nora very much enjoy Netrunner, so we are aware of it.
Yes.
You can kind of do a Netrunner-like by doing a 2-player game. One player is the player and the other is the judge, and we have rules for that. Cafe Darkadian says, do you have plans to show off something like NPC decks similar to this?
We do have NPC decks in the demo kit, dear.
That's true. We have a couple in the demo kit, and we also posted a couple of them in the Perfect Draw server as a little promo for Christmas.
And then,
finally,
do you have any updates on stretch goals, or will they be kept secret?
Yeah, I was reading that one.
Sorry.
Nathan26 says, any updates on stretch goals, or will that be kept secret until the crowdfunding launch? We've shown a little bit of the stretch goals, which is the first bonus playbook that will be included.
That one is... We have 2 different sets of stretch goals is the important thing.
Yeah.
We have one set of stretch goals, which is the funding, the amount of money we make, and that's going to go towards things like commissions or different tools that might make the game a little bit easier to play with that are going to take us like money for commissioning. And then
right now, all that's been revealed of that is game gets fully funded.
Yes.
More of them will be revealed as more is funded.
The other type is the amount of backers. If we reach 100 backers, we will make a new playbook. And for more and more backers, we will make additional new playbooks. The one for this next one is... is the Mentor, which is focused on, a little bit like the Ally, but more focused on being someone who's like a veteran in card games, trying to teach the new generation, rather than having their own life necessarily. They still care about card games in that way.
Mm-hmm. A Brilliant Loser says, what do you think of cards making warriors into items as a mechanic, by the way?
Brilliant.
Love it. Fantastic.
Beautiful.
We have a character in the example NPC decks who's a Medusa and does that to reflect turning things to stone.
Yeah.
Endlessly thematic possibilities.
Absolutely. That's something that MTG just does, all the time now, for some reason. Can you play Perfect Draw on motorcycles?
Can you play Perfect Draw on motorcycles? You can play Perfect Draw on horses. You can play Perfect Draw on
planes. I think they mean in real life.
Oh,
No, you can, but don't.
No responsibility for playing a Perfect Draw on motorcycles in real life. Do this at your own risk. There is a reason why we are no longer called card games in dangerous places. Admittedly, that reason is not this, but it's worth saying anyway.
I love the idea that we did it because we got sued. Dear, can we just pretend that's true now? That we got sued because someone, broke their bones while,
Okay, let's go outside the fan base.
Yeah, exactly. The reason we changed it from deckcasters is because Satanic Panic. They thought that we were actually
Gonna
telling
make
people to
actually
use
use
real
our
magic.
games on dangerous places.
Yeah.
This is the mythos we're running with now.
Yeah.
You've witnessed it take shape in real time.
I'm gonna have to cut that out of the thing, or everyone will know. Shit. No, the VOD. Everyone will find out.
It wouldn't be a shame if someone clipped this.
No. Okay. Unless there's any other questions, I'll stop the recording now, and then I'll edit that out. You should be able to see the VOD online, and I'll post one on YouTube with some quick edits at the front and back, so it's actually easily to read.